Well, hey there. Greetings, salutations, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. My name is John Campea, and this is Open Mic. What is Open Mic? Well, Open Mic is exactly what it sounds like. It is your open mic. It's whatever you guys want to talk about, whatever you guys feel like discussing, whatever questions you guys want to ask. If you've got a topic, a question, whatever that you'd like us to address here on Open Mic, go ahead and use the super chat feature and fire that in. The super chat will be open for a little while longer, so you can get those in now, and then we will close it down and answer the rest of the questions. Of course, joined by Robert Meyer Burnett. Robert, how you doing?
Hello, John. It's good to be back here yet again today. Very exciting.
Yeah, we did a live show earlier today. By the way, we're joined by Brooke Solis, who's back again. She was back here. She was here last Tuesday. She decided she wanted more punishment, so she came back in today. How are you doing, Brooke?
I'm amazing. You guys have the best audience and followers. I had to come back for more. You might be stuck with me. I'm just going to be like stalking Open Mic. I'm here to stay.
She is a stalker. I've known Brooke a long time. She's a bit of a stalker.
Like Glenn Close and Fatal Attraction stalker?
Just a little bit. Just a little bit of that.
What?
It's good to have you here, Brooke. How you doing?
That's so
anyway,
random.
And it's good to have you guys here. We're glad that you're joining us here today for this show. So yeah, listen, before we run into it and get into the topics you guys, and already a ton of you guys have been sending a whole bunch of questions in, I thought we would revisit, as we often do, one of the topics we discussed earlier on the John Campea Show today. You know, somebody wrote in and asked, you know, if Black Adam doesn't end up making money, because listen, looking at the numbers, there is a very real scenario here that Black Adam may end up being a money loser. There's still a chance it'll be a profitable movie, but
sure,
right now at $250 million that it's made after 2 weekends, and it needs $450 million minimum to break even, there's a possibility here that this doesn't happen. And the person who called in this morning asked, you know, does this affect the plans of DC moving forward if it doesn't happen? Now, we pointed out on the show earlier today that, you know, this movie, Black Adam, The Flash, Blue Beetle, Aquaman 2, all these upcoming DC movies are not this Warner Brothers movies, because Warner Brothers went through an ownership change a little while ago. Now David Zaslav and Discovery have bought them out. We've got a brand new, as of today, DC Studios with their new heads, James Gunn and Peter Safran in charge as of today.
As of today, yeah.
So all these movies that are coming out are all movies that were made under the old regime, right? So this new Warner Brothers regime won't get, you know, big credit if they do well, nor should they take big blame if they don't do well. We're not going to see what they do have a lot moving forward. But it raised an interesting question, Rob, as we were talking about that today. I was thinking about this during lunch, was where do we see DC going? You know, they've got now a guy in James Gunn, who's one of the most enigmatic, wildly unique, not just directors, but executives now in the creative movie world. And as we look at the current state of DC, and we've talked a lot about what's working with DC, what isn't working with DC, where do we see DC going? Like, we're going to get all these other movies behind us. We're a couple of years away from seeing the first DC movies under, maybe it'll be a Superman 2, maybe it'll be something else. But what kind of direction are you expecting us to see, regardless of whether Black Adam is profitable or not?
Well, I think that what's really great about this is that DC is going to have a direction.
Yeah.
You now have two people. You have a creative entity in James Gunn, and then Peter Safran is the producer overseeing the money. And what I love about the Peter component is he's been working with James Gunn for a long time, but he's also worked with James Wan.
Yes, he has.
And he already made the Conjuring universe with James Wan that was very profitable for Warner Brothers. They're making even more Conjuring movies. And it's not just Conjuring, it's The Nun, it's Annabelle and Annabelle Creation. So that was a whole franchise that is ongoing that Peter Safran is responsible for as a producer. Then you have Aquaman, which he's also responsible for as a producer.
Yeah.
So you've got a filmmaker in James Gunn, a filmmaker in James Wan, and you've got Peter Safran. What I think is really interesting is you have a synergy between creativity and money.
Yeah.
And in the film business, that's always a good thing. You know, it's always good to have money and creativity together. And I think they're going to plot a course that they're going to set up, they're going to have a vision. And I feel that I feel that Warner Brothers has not had the vision that Disney has had over at the MCU. I mean, Kevin Feige always had a direction that they were going, and you know they've pivoted when they had to, but they had a long-term plan, and I feel that Warner Brothers has lacked that. DC has lacked a long-term plan, and I think that along with the Conjuring universe, I think someone like Peter Safran, and now with the creative infusion of James Gunn, they can plot a course. Now their contracts for 4 years, and I would imagine they want to.
Which, by the way, is a longer contract than Disney CEO Bob Chapek's contract is. His contracts are for 3 years.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I would imagine that we're going to see them hit the ground running. We've talked about, it's surprising that we haven't gotten an announcement about a Superman movie today, but I would imagine that we're going to get a plan that they're going to execute on and probably execute quite well. So something we haven't seen from I keep saying Disney, from Warner Brothers is that vision. And I'm looking forward to hearing what it is.
Well, one of the things that's always gotten in the way of DC having a definitive vision was the fact that over at Marvel, Disney gave Marvel their own studio. They were their own independent studio. And they answered only to the company chiefs. Like Kevin Feige answered to one person, and that was Alan Horn. Mm-hmm. That was it. Alan Horn, who oversaw all the movie divisions, that was it. And Kevin Feige was allowed to run Marvel Studios, have a vision. DC, under the old Warner Brothers regime, never had that. The guys who were in charge of making their murder mysteries and period piece dramas were also the ones making the decisions about the comic book movies. And now, for the first time ever, they have their own DC studio that's been given equal footing with Warner Brothers Pictures. And that is something brand new for them. So it's going to be interesting to see now that they have that ability and that authority, because James Gunn only answers to one guy now, and that's David Zaslav. He doesn't have any other movie executives he answers to. He'll be working with Warner Brothers Picture Group for sure. But it's going to be really interesting to see how that pans out. And I think that is going to make it really, but again, we say it all the time, Rob, we are a couple of years away right now from really seeing the results of this move and how good or bad it'll be. Anyway, guys, I wanted to follow up on that discussion we had a little bit earlier today. So let's now do what we came here to do, which is to hear from you guys and what you guys want to talk about. So Brooke, let's go over to you. What are we starting off with here?
All right, let's get right into it. So Jonathan Bunch says, how would you guys feel about a Jordan Peele Doctor Strange movie? I think it could be great.
Oh, actually, you know what? That should be lower on the list there, because that was actually from earlier today. So scroll it down there. Make sure you have the newest one at the bottom there, Taylor. All right, now what's first?
All right, Casey Mack says, hey, John and crew, just wondering if any of you have had a chance to watch The Peripheral yet, and what are your thoughts?
That has, what's the girl's name?
Chloe Grace Moretz.
Chloe Grace Moretz as the star in it. Here's the thing. I have heard good things about it, but I've watched trailers for it, and I have no effing idea what that show is even remotely about. And I have this kind of philosophy of, if you can't be bothered to tell me what your movie or show is about, why should I be bothered to spend my time watching it? Now, I love Chloe Grace Moretz, right? And I love a lot of the shows that Prime Video puts out. I mean, this is the same network that puts out Invincible and The Boys and Marvel's Ms. Maisel. And, you know, I have a lot of respect, but I could not tell you one single thing about this show from watching the trailers. So it hasn't done anything to get my attention. Have you watched it?
Well, yes. And I haven't watched all of it. I read the book. So it's based on a series of books. Well, that's the first book by William Gibson, who wrote books like Neuromancer and Count Zero and Mona Lisa Overdrive. And it's a science fiction book. It's really complex because it's about a group of people, quote unquote, in the present day, who start messing around with this virtual reality game, which takes them into this sort of dystopian future. What they don't realize is they're really going there. And it crosses between two different time zones. And I have to say, the show...
By time zones, you mean time periods?
Time periods,
okay,
yes.
Yeah.
The show's a little murky.
East Coast time and West Coast time.
The show's a little impenetrable. I don't think it does a great job of solidifying the story itself. Now, I've only watched 2 episodes, so I don't know how it's going to play out. But I don't know if it's yet a good adaptation of the book or not.
All right. Well, we'll have to see. Admittedly, I'm hearing good things.
Well, it's beautiful. It's beautifully made. The acting is great. It's just like it's really hard to understand because them trying to lay it out is a little weird.
Yeah, and again, they've given me no reason to feel enticed to watch it because their trailer. Oh, let's.
But it's really well made.
And Rob, did you like the book? Was the
I
book
did like
interesting?
the book.
And you like the ending?
It's part of a series. It's the beginning of the series of the situation. The book is. I mean, I'm a William Gibson fan.
Mm-hmm.
He was the guy that basically he wrote this book in '84 called Neuromancer. That was the beginning of the cyberpunk era. Like he coined the phrase cyberpunk.
Interesting.
So, but his books are. But I like that book.
Okay.
So look,
series.
I'll just say this, and then is that look, I appreciate Amazon very much. Amazon Pharmacy is one of the sponsors of our show. Amazon Audible is a brand new sponsor of our show. We'll talk about that a little bit, but I still got to call it as I see it. They have not done a good job marketing this show because their marketing has done nothing to get me interested in watching it. So they've got to get better at
Well,
that.
what I don't understand is there's no mention of William Gibson, who's one of the most famous modern science fiction writers. They don't even mention that, from William
Well,
Gibson.
if the average audience doesn't know his name, that's why you don't put his name.
No,
in there.
but it would be like he is. They're saying it's from the makers of Westworld,
Right.
and it's like, but they didn't. It wasn't really from them. Yeah, I mean it was, but it's like,
But that's the name people recognize. They don't
Right.
recognize the other name. So anyway. All right. What's next?
All right, CJRE Birth or CJ Rebirth sent and says, "I love the scene in TSS, The Suicide Squad, where Harley's killing people while a catchy song plays in the background."
I got to tell you, I love James Gunn's Suicide Squad. Love. I think it's my second favorite MCU movie behind Man of Steel. I was not thrilled. I think the least strong part about the movie was the use of Harley Quinn in it. Not that it was bad. Not that they used her badly in the movie. Not at all. It's just I thought it was the least strong. But that scene, I loved that scene.
Yeah.
That scene screamed James Gunn bonkerisms all over it. So that scene I really like. What did you think of it?
what's not to like? No, it was. I thought she was good in the film. That scene in particular is beautifully shot.
Yeah. It was
And
really beautifully
does
done.
that have that effect when the flower petals are going out behind
Yeah.
her? I love that.
That was
shot.
just
That's-
visually really cool.
it's so
I like
cool.
that a lot.
It's so cool.
All right, what's next? Taylor. There
Sorry,
we go.
it's lagging.
All right, Matt Sanders says, "Also, I got to see Black Adam over the weekend. It was a bit all over the place with CGI that got worse as the movie went on. Hawkman was awesome, though, and I could see him being a fan favorite with more on-screen time."
And by the way, Matt sent in like a $20 super chat. Matt, thank you so much for supporting us on that level. Listen, Black Adam to me is an enigma. It is a bad movie that is really fun to watch. We said this morning, Rob, that Black Adam is the movie that does everything it needs to do as a comic book movie to succeed, but none of the other things to be a great movie in and of its own right. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I walked out of that movie with a big smile on my face, bought my tickets again to go watch it again. But when my friend asked me, so how was it? I said, well, it's not good, but it's really fun. It's one of those movies. But one of the standouts in it is Hawkman.
Oh yeah.
Aldous, what's Aldous' last name again? Aldous, the guy who plays Hawkman. Anyway,
Is it Hodge? Aldous Hodge?
Aldous Hodge, that's it. Who was great in The Invisible Man. Aldous as Hawkman was great. And I'll be honest with you, from the trailers, I didn't think that I'd like the character very much. I knew I'd like Pierce Brosnan as Dr. Fate.
Yeah.
That we knew, and he was awesome as Dr. Fate. But I walked out of that going, yep, I want to see more Hawkman in this movie universe. He was really, really good in it.
Really good. And the costume's great.
Oh, the
I know
look
it
was
has the
fantastic.
CG assist, but it looks
Yeah,
great.
I thought it looked really,
I
really
think
sharp.
anything with the Justice League Society or Justice League was, wait, I'm saying that wrong.
Justice Society.
Justice Society was great in the show.
It was.
I mean, they didn't really explain where they came from and how they're assembled.
Or where they've been?
They came out of Dr. Xavier's School for Witchcraft and Wizardry.
yeah. And that's it.
And it's like, they're there.
By the way, if you haven't seen it, I'm about to spoil one line from the movie. So plug your ears for a second if you want to. I'm about to spoil one line. But one of the funniest moments in the movie didn't even have to do with Black Adam. It was about the Justice Society, and Dr. Fate and Hawkman are talking, and Dr. Fate says, "Yes, one of the JSA do die." And Hawkman is like, "It's Atom Smasher, isn't it? It's Atom Smasher."
Yeah.
I just remember I after watching how the character was introduced, it was pretty funny. So
Yeah.
it's just one of those things. Okay, what's next?
By the way, you said not good, but some fun. It sounds a lot like my first marriage, John. I just had to. Fangblaze71 says,
Oh, Jedediah.
Jedediah. See, you guys, I'm just warming up. That's why I need to get here more often. I'm going to get it right. Jedediah Elias says, most anticipated film of November. What is it?
I don't even know what comes out in November.
Wakanda Forever.
I was going to say, other than Wakanda Forever.
Just the
Yeah,
answer is
Wakanda.
always just going to be, I don't even care if it's the wrong month. Wakanda forever.
Glass
Oh,
Onion. There you
I
go.
forgot Glass Onion's coming
I
out.
still hold Wakanda forever over Glass Onion.
Yeah, I'm still with you. I still think Wakanda Forever.
Although
that-
Bones and All and the Menu, I didn't realize this is a strong lineup for November.
yeah.
Those
Because
are probably
Bones and
gonna-
All is the
yeah.
new Luca Guadiana.
Wait, is Just Enchanted come out this month too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff coming this month.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we've got the next, who I think is the next Daniel Day-Lewis here in
And
Bones
this is a
All.
cannibal movie.
Well, everybody loves a good cannibal.
I love a good cannibal movie.
But here's the funny thing. People will write in, like when I do like, for instance, I think it was yesterday or the day before I did, I'll jump in the community tab on the YouTube channel and say, hey guys, doing an Ask Me Anything for the next 45 minutes, right? And a lot of people ask, so what are your three favorite, and I never do top 3, top 5, top 10 questions, but people say, what's your most anticipated movie for the first half of 2023? I'm like, guys, I have no calendar up here. Like I do not walk around with the knowledge of, I don't even remember what I had for lunch. I do not walk around with a calendar up here. So when you say, what's your most anticipated movie in November? Honestly, Wakanda Forever is the only movie I know off the top of my head is coming out in November, but it looks like a pretty damn strong month.
Yeah.
Bones and All, Glass Onion. I'm super excited for Glass Onion. By the way, that might be the most significant movie opening in November.
There's also The Fablemans.
Ooh.
Which one?
Does that open in
Fablemans from
November?
Spielberg. Mm-hmm.
Oh, The Fablemans. I thought
Wow,
that
I
opened
thought
in
that was
December.
You know, I'll tell you something. I'm looking at the Box Office Mojo schedule, and we've been talking about how they've been re-releasing old films.
Yep.
35th anniversary, I might do this. Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Oh, I'll be there.
Wow.
Yeah, that's right on the heels too of like the announcement Ryan
Yeah.
Reynolds is doing a John Candy documentary. We've got all those like 4 hours, I think they said, of never before seen
Right.
footage or something like that. Crazy. But I was saying the Glass Onion one might be the most significant movie coming out because not only is it representing the movie itself, but this is the first movie that Netflix is experimenting with doing a real theatrical release. It's an abbreviated one, granted, but it's not one of these, I just pop it on a few screens for a work. No, it's getting a nationwide release, and it'll be interesting to see what Netflix learns from this and where we go from there. All right, what's next?
Okay. Now Matt
it's a delay, I
Sanders
don't know.
says, did you guys get to watch that God of War ad? Thanks for all you guys do.
Oh, so those of you who don't know what he's asking, there's a brand new God. How long was it? Did anybody see the clock on
It
that?
was
That
like
had
4
to be
minutes.
like,
it was
I think.
about 4.
it was about 4 minutes. This is
we were
not
like,
some
wait, is this ever
30-second
gonna end?
commercial.
That's like a short film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a short film.
It's Ben Stiller and his son, LeBron James and his son Bronny, and John Travolta and his daughter. And they're all doing some kind of God of War therapy. It's a whole ad for God of War, the upcoming game, God of War Ragnarok. It is hilarious. I loved it. I
Did
loved
Stiller
it.
direct this? Do we know who directed this?
It totally feels like something Ben Stiller would have directed. Like this,
It was his style, for sure.
it was absolutely his style, especially that one line, because it was exact like the other line I told you about, right? When he says, we've had, like he's talking to LeBron, he goes, we've had a breakthrough or
Yeah.
something like that. Like it was gold. If you have not seen this spot, go online and look for it. It's absolutely hilarious. All right, what's next?
There's one from Fangblaze that was missed.
Oh, Fangblaze says, buy, rent, sell, Ant-Man, Eternals, Doctor Strange. So
Keep
it's
that
like-
up there, Taylor. Okay, so buy Ant-Man, rent Eternals, sell Doctor Strange. By the way, I should note, I like all of these movies.
Yeah, I did too.
But I love the first Ant-Man.
My buy is the same. I'd swap Eternals and
Doctor Strange.
Doctor Strange. And it's not that I really disliked Eternals, but I'm just one of those who like Doctor Strange more.
Yeah, I think listen, the pundit voices are, well, Doctor Strange is a big deal. A lot of people liked Doctor Strange: The Multiverse of Madness, and I had fun with it. I did. It wasn't top tier MCU for me. I liked Eternals a little bit more. All right, what's next?
Matthew Medina.
No, Chloe.
Okay, are we going in the middle or
Yeah, we should
bottom?
start at the bottom. That's where we should. I know. Yeah,
Started at the bottom,
Taylor's
now we're
getting
here.
used to
You
it. Taylor's
told
new
me
on the
in the
command
middle.
center there. You'll get it.
I'm still going to get on to you about that stalker comment. I don't know what you mean. Now you're messing up my whole, yeah. Chloe Fanning says, good comedy sequels. My opinion, The Police Academy.
Well, maybe a couple of Police Academy 2.
Two.
Yeah, two's
Police
good.
Academy 2 was pretty damn good. I still remember the first Police Academy, and I'll tell you why. This is such a preteen boys thing. Because what year did the first Police Academy movie
look
come
it
out?
up.
It was 80 what? 3,
A long time
84?
ago.
I can't remember. If you get that, Jonathan.
84.
84, okay? So I was like this preteen, whatever. I will always remember it because it's the first time there's a scene in that where what's the like strong female cop, the blonde. I can't remember what her name was, but you had Mahoney, right? But they're doing combat training. And I think this might have been in the trailer, but she throws one of the recruits down on the ground.
Sergeant Callahan.
Sergeant Callahan.
Yeah.
She throws a guy to the ground, and she's beautiful and strong and all that kind of. So she throws this guy to the ground, and then full mount in MMA terms, but like all over his face. So she's essentially sitting on his face. She's got him pinned down to the ground with her sitting on his face. And I'll never forget this because as a kid, that's the first time I ever saw that. And I'm like, oh, so that made an impression. But then she says, all right, who's next? And you see all the guys in line. Ah!
Yeah.
Police Academy was so damn good. You know, I actually got a few years ago, I got to go watch a movie with Steve Guttenberg.
Really?
Good.
Yeah, I actually got to go with Steve
You talked
Guttenberg.
about Cocoon?
The Goose.
We did not talk about Cocoon. We just talked about some of the stuff he had going on at the time, which is great. But yes, I agree. Police Academy 2. But by the time listen, some of the Police Academy movies never should have been made. But the second one, I will give you that.
The second one added Bobcat Goldthwait.
Is that the one where he came in?
Yeah, that was number 2. I feel like someone else was added in part 2 as well, but it's okay.
I think Wayne Gretzky's wife got introduced in that one too. Anyway, all right, what's next?
Matthew Medina says, HOTD.
House of the Dragon.
House of the Dragons, adding 7 new dragons, and season 2, a lot of post.
Well, I mean, yes and no. Yes and no. Here's the thing about all that is that once you get these models built, and I'm betting you the models and all that kind of stuff for all the dragon, I bet you they're already built. And then then you have to, in CGI term, you got to bone them. I know this sounds weird, but you actually have to give them a skeletal structure. Once you have your model, you create a skeletal structure within them that kind of controls how they can move and all that kind of stuff. But I bet you a lot of that stuff is already done.
Yeah,
for that.
I would imagine.
But it will be, we get to see the Dance of Dragons, I think, in season 2. So like if the finale gave us any indication, we're in for some goodness.
Yeah,
we're in for some really damn goodness.
Even
All
though
right.
it's going to be in 2024.
I actually feel
I could be,
I'm not
gone
even
by
looking
then.
forward to that part of it. I feel bad every time those dragons. I feel like I'm turning into Ray now. I feel bad for those dragons now. You know? I don't want
Because they're
them to
better
die.
than the people.
Yeah.
They have better
I hated,
spirits.
like, in
They're
Game
more
of Thrones.
trustworthy.
They're more loyal.
Every
They
time
don't,
she
they
lost a
don't play
dragon,
politics.
No.
Yeah. Every
All right.
time she lost a dragon in Game of Thrones, I want to throw my remote control through the screen.
All right. What's next?
Jordan McIntyre. Hey, from Australia, John. Do you think Barry Keoghan
Keoghan,
could be recasted as the Joker in future Batman movies?
Maybe. I mean, really, the answer is who cares? I like Barry Keoghan. I loved him in Eternals. If you haven't seen the deleted scene from the Batman where Robert Pattinson and Barry Keoghan have their face off, it's a really good, intense scene.
It is.
Is this implying that he's not in the Batman too? Or
Well, I mean, I think that's what he's asking, if he can be recast in it.
oh, sure, I am going to be recast.
So they could recast him, but I'll recast him. Of course, we have Matt Reeves here.
Anyone can
Of
be
course,
recast.
they could recast him because the reality is he had 5 seconds of screen time in the movie. So
Right.
they could stay with him, which is perfectly great if they do. I think Barry's terrific. Or they could recast if they think somebody else would better suit the Joker they want to create for the sequel. So yeah, it could happen. I don't really think it matters either way. All right, what's next?
All right, Jedediah Elias. Might be wrong, but from what I've heard, the next Regal Secret screening on November 7th is going to be The Fabelmans. Will you be going? I know I will.
No. I got burned with the Regal secret screenings because for those of you who don't know, a few weeks ago,
That's right.
they did a Regal secret screening, right? Where it's a great idea, right? You go to Regal, you buy for $5, you get a ticket to a movie you don't know what it is. All they tell you is that it's an upcoming movie. So I had slim hope, but some hopes it was going to be Black Adam because it was a couple of weeks before Black Adam opened. Then there were a few other movies I was really looking forward to. Oh, it could be this and it could be that and could be that. It ended up being Apple TV Plus's The Greatest Beer Run Ever with Zac Efron and Russell Crowe, two actors who I completely love, by the way. And it sucked. And it's like, really? I came here to see an Apple TV Plus movie? That was what I came here for? So I know the whispers of The Fabelmans. And listen, I'm going to be bummed out if on November 8th, I found out that everybody got to meet The Fabelmans. I'll be bummed out that I didn't go, but I am not trusting this secret screening anymore because it's like going to the house for trick-or-treating. They gave you a little tube of toothpaste. It's like, fuck you. Like, that's kind of what it was. No, thank you. No, thank you. So I'll be skipping that, unfortunately. All right.
That's
now,
what you get for $5, though.
that is
You're
what
not
you
paying
get
the
for
full price.
$5. That's true.
That's what you get.
You get what you pay for. All right.
Yes.
What's next?
All right, John Redcorn. Where will Sony do with Venom 3? I like the films, but at this point, I want Venom versus Spidey. I don't want to see him fight another symbiote or Morbius.
Look, ultimately, I'll tell you straight up, Venom doesn't need Spider-Man. They proved it. This franchise has made like what, $1.4 billion at the box office? It doesn't need Spider-Man. I mean, it'll be fun when eventually it does happen somehow, some way. I'm with you that I'm over the symbiote thing. Like they did Carnage. Like I liked Venom 2, not as much as the first one, but it definitely had its moments. And Venom, people were wondering, well, if it's not rated R, they can't do anything. There's a high body count. And like Carnage kills a lot of people in some pretty brutal ways. But that being said, I don't know. Like you have to be creative in who and what he fights. They've already had him fight other symbiotes twice. I agree with you. I have no interest to see him fight Morbius. But if they do, and they have a different, they just named the director for it. It's the girl who wrote the other two scripts with Tom Hardy. So you bring in a different director and a different creative team than the ones that did Morbius. It could be good, I suppose. But that is because, Rob, we often talk about how difficult it is to find a foil for Superman. For Venom too, like it's a little tricky for something other than a symbiote. So what direction do you think they might go?
Well, I'm curious. I mean, to be honest, I don't know what direction they're going to go. I mean, maybe in the next one, Venom is actually going to do something. Like rather than fight something, he actually has a task. He has to go on an adventure. I don't know. He's not going to go after the Lost Ark of the Covenant, but maybe there is something. Maybe they're going to play it differently where Venom has a goal in mind and he has to go achieve it. Whatever that goal is, I have no idea. And maybe he fights people along the way, but maybe there isn't a traditional super antagonist, a big boss that he has to fight. Maybe there's many different people. I just don't know. I don't even have any sense because they didn't say anything about the plot. I was curious, like, what is it going to be? Like, we knew when
I don't know that they finished the script for the part 3 yet. Yeah,
I mean, but we knew from Venom, Let There Be Carnage, they announced that it's going to be Carnage, and we all know I have no idea what they're going to do with this movie.
And we're still a couple years away.
And what's supposed to come out first, Craven or this?
Oh, Craven comes out this year.
Oh, well, there you go.
When I say this year, I mean this calendar.
Yeah, within
year. Not calendar
It
year.
was supposed to come out.
Within
Didn't
12
they
months.
push it?
It was supposed to come out in 2022.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, but it got pushed into 2023. Double check that.
But like by a long way.
It could be a foil. Craven going after Venom or whatever.
Listen, we've said before that you do a little bit of changing, just like Marvel did with Civil War. They changed that a lot. You do some changing. You do like Craven wants to hunt. And what greater prey is there out there than this rumored alien beast that's out there? And we've talked about this a long time ago, Rob, but you do a Venom where Craven is hunting Venom. That could be a lot of fun.
Craven's October 6th.
So October 6th. So less than a year from now is when it comes out. So yeah, that'll be long before Venom 3.
Yeah,
but you
Kraven
set up Craven and have Craven hunting Venom, I'm
But
in.
Craven got pushed almost a year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Craven and Venom. I ship those two. And you know when I ship, I like to use stamps.com.
Oh, that's a good point,
Wow.
which is a great inadvertent, totally accidental and fortuitous circumstance that you just did that, because we want to thank one of the sponsors of our open mic here today, our friends at stamps.com. We want to thank a sponsor of today's episode, Stamps.com. Guys, it happens every holiday season. No matter how prepared we think we are for the season, it always turns out we're nowhere near as prepared as we thought we were, especially with our shipping. And right about now, seasonal excitement, or dread as the case may be, is really starting to settle in, especially for small businesses. Slaying through traffic to the post office, inboxes more like a blizzard than a winter wonderland, rushing to send cards and gifts to your loyal clients. The good news is it's not too late to get your holiday mailing and shipping under control with Stamps.com. Sign up now and you'll be printing your own postage in minutes. Because Stamps.com is your one-stop shop for all of your shipping and mailing needs. Get access to the United States Postal Service and UPS services that you need to run your business right from your computer. Up to 86% off. So this holiday season, trade late nights for silent nights and get started with Stamps.com today. Sign up with promo code Campea for a special offer that includes a 4-week trial plus free postage and a free digital scale. No long-term commitments or contracts. Just go to Stamps.com, click the microphone at the top of the page, and enter the code Campea. And thank you to the great folks at Stamps.com who've been a long-time sponsor of the John Campea Show. All right, with that all down, let's get up to the next one. What's next?
Okay. Cost Cinema Reviews says, after seeing Tales of the Jedi with Dooku stories, does anyone else think it'd be interesting to see a Disney Plus series that's a Jedi detective story?
I have still not watched Tales of the Jedi. I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't care that much about it, but I am gonna sit down and watch it.
There's some
tonight.
good stuff there.
Yeah,
man.
I've heard, like you and a couple of other people have told me there's some
and
good
I
stuff
watch it
in there.
because of Harloff.
We've kind of got a Jedi detective story though in Attack of the Clones.
Yeah.
When Obi-Wan was trying to figure out the whole mystery of the cloners, although that was so stupid. It's like, really?
Cloners.
There's an entire race and world that had been used regularly and all that kind of stuff. And just because somebody went in and took it off a map, nobody remembers this entire planet exists. Anyway, whatever. But we did kind of get a detective story.
Tales of the Jedi addresses that very thing.
Oh, does it?
Yes.
Okay, see, now you even got me a little bit more interested.
yes,
in
it does.
But I'm always interested in a good detective story, whether it's Sherlock Holmes or whether it's the Batman or a Jedi sort of thing. I'd be down for something like that. Okay, what's next?
Matthew Medina says, Henry Cavill is rumored to play Hugh Hammer in House of the Dragon. In the books, he's the one who rides Vermithor the dragon. Damon was singing too. Hugh Hammer in House of the Dragon.
I think I saw that get debunked today. I can't remember for sure. I never gave much. I heard the rumor that he's going to be in House of the Dragon. I didn't give it any credit. And then I think I saw something that debunked that already. Look, you know me. I got, where is he? He's right here. I got Henry on my desk. I got Henry standing in the back of the office. I'm a big Henry Cavill guy. I would love to see Henry Cavill in House of the Dragon, especially after seeing him in The Tudors. That's where I became a big fan of Henry Cavill's acting, was in The Tudors. So he's familiar with putting on the period piece, the old medieval festival costumes and garb. I think he'd do quite well, but I don't believe it. So I until I see more credible evidence, I'm just discarding that. All right, what's next?
All right, Sam Fisher says, can we appreciate how badass the name Yahya Abdul Mateen II is? Did I say
That
right?
is a pretty badass name. I mean, make no mistake about it. Like, if you want to come in and have a name, it's like, hey, suckers, I'm going to even make you struggle to figure out how to say my name. That's true. Yahya Abdul Mateen is an Emmy-winning actor, though. This guy backs up everything. And the fact that he's now going to be in the MCU, I think is pretty fun. So I'm excited to see where he goes.
Agreed.
And it is a very badass movie. All right, or name, I should
Very
say.
handsome, too.
What's next?
Jedediah Elias says, based on what Daniel Radcliffe said today to IndieWire, the time is perfect for a cursed child movie. Would put franchise back in good standing while speaking to the new generation of fans, many who are LGBT.
I don't think it's in bad standing. I mean,
But here's the thing: I have obviously not read The Cursed Child, but I know a lot of Harry Potter fans who have, and it's not people's favorites.
And that's the play, right?
Yeah, that's when
the play.
they did it as a book. They did it as a play. From everything that I've heard from a lot of Potter fans, it's not a lot of people's favorites. I think if you want to revisit a post, what was the name of the last, the Deathly Hallows, a post Deathly Hallows Wizarding World of Harry Potter, I think you got to come up with something new. I honestly don't think there would be a whole ton of enthusiasm for, I'm even seeing people in the live chat right now saying, no Cursed Child, no Cursed Child. Cursed Child was horrible, says Casey Mack. Yeah, it's, I have not heard great things from people who have seen it or read whatever, but I kind of think they should just do something different.
Look, I agree.
That involves the original cast and all that kind of stuff, but it shouldn't be that.
Catch up with them in their 30s. What are they doing?
Yeah, I like it.
What do you do with the wizarding education? How do you make it work for you? You know, do you become an entrepreneur?
You become a professor.
Is that all you can do?
I think there's a lot of real degrees. That's all you can do with it afterwards. You take a certain
I
course
think
study.
there's more
just
money
can
with
teach you later.
magic in the private sector.
I agree. I think you should become Warlord. I want to see a movie called Harry Potter Warlord. That's what I want to see.
I mean, I would use my magic for personal gain.
Of course you would. And your Tinder profile. All right. What's next?
My Tinder profile doesn't
Attack of the Mushi says, Triangle of Sadness had the funniest scene I've seen since Deadpool had baby legs. I was fucking dying in the theater. My daughter's not here today, by the way. Crying, laughing. Also saw Tar.
What are we talking about, Taylor? What is this scene in Triangle of Sadness?
Honestly, I couldn't tell you. It was funny. It did have funny parts, but there wasn't one that stood out to me that was like hilarious. So off the top of my head, I'm not sure.
But the baby legs. Baby, I forgot about that.
Oh my, that was so funny.
And the hand. Oh, anyway. Okay. Yes. All right. Thank you for the recommendation, man. Appreciate that.
I really want to see Triangle of Sadness, though.
Yeah. Okay.
That and Tar.
What's next?
Sebastian Gomez says, the James Gunn DC news is incredible, but I fear it means we won't see James direct or write any projects himself for a long while.
Well, here's the thing, though. I think it was Deadline's report that mentioned James will still direct.
Yeah.
Now, you are not going to see him direct as much. Like, Rob and I disagree on this. I think we will see like James Gunn maybe direct one film every like 4 years or so, because listen, when you're directing a film, first of all, studio executive, full-time job. Directing a movie, full-time job. Now, there is precedence for it. John Lasseter did this himself. As he was running Disney Animation and running Pixar, he stepped in and directed the Cars movie. So it can be done, but not often. So I think maybe like one film every 4 years, and with no insider information, I still think, I think you might have been the one to turn me on to this here. I think it's going to be the next Superman movie.
I do too. Because what else would you do?
I mean, how does that work? If you're the studio exec, you're the CEO, do you just book yourself to direct?
Yeah, you
Yes.
just give yourself the job. See, that's a good thing. Like, I can create a new show here, right? Let's say I decided to create a show called Harry Potter Afternoons.
Yeah.
Guess what? I name myself host.
Right.
I get to do that. James Gunn gets to do that too. That's one of the perks of the job, baby.
I mean, and I'm sure that, remember, whatever he's going to do, all of this was already discussed with David Zaslav. They already know what they're doing.
Oh, sure, exactly.
They're not just sitting there twiddling their thumbs in the executive office going, what should we do today?
Well, and I'll tell you what, Zaslav, I bet you anything, and I don't know this as an insider, I'm just guessing. I bet you anything, Zaslav didn't have to be convinced to let James Gunn also direct. I bet he wants James Gunn to also continue to do a little bit of directing here and there. So,
I mean, plus he's going to have a big movie in May, the third tentpole in the Galaxy, the Guardians of the Galaxy, and he's got the Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas special coming out. So it's not like James Gunn isn't a sought after creative director already. And how great would it be to be able to announce his next film? That just elevates everybody.
tell you what, it's going to be awesome at the Guardians of the Galaxy 3 premiere to see James Gunn show up in a Batman shirt at a big Marvel premiere. That's going to be fun.
He should just do it. He should pull a Feige and have a black hat with a Batman. You know?
Oh, but no, did you just ask, would he do that? Would James Gunn do that? Oh, dude, James Gunn would do much
But
more.
I mean, he's still got to be respectful to his cast and crew.
Sure, but there's nothing wrong with showing up repping your brand.
I guess not.
I mean,
nothing
it's
wrong with
no
that.
secret. He's the president of DC movies.
As of today.
Yeah.
It's true.
As of he is CEO chairman. at
He'll
DC
be
Studios.
6 months in at least
Yep.
by the time. Yeah. Well.
All right, what's next?
So Matt
Mattuine.
Mattuine, it could be said so many ways. DC has 2 Oscar winners for the same character, Joker. Do you think Marvel will ever have an Oscar for one of their characters, or does it matter?
Oh, they absolutely will. Like at some point, somewhere down the line, there will be an Oscar winner from a Marvel movie. Just like I said years ago, at some point, yes, a comic book movie will get nominated for Best Picture at some point, and at some point, an actor will win. I mean, after all, Heath Ledger got nominated. So, I mean, yeah. So, short answer is absolutely yes. You will see a Marvel actor at some point win an Oscar for a Marvel character. Who that'll be, when that'll be, no idea, but it'll happen eventually, especially when they're cranking out like 4 movies a year.
Right.
At some point, the numbers game has to catch up to you. All right. What's next?
Sebastian Gomez writes, my hot toy addiction has started. I got Endgame cap a while ago. Just ordered Spider-Gwen. King Shark and Miles Morales from ITSV are up next.
Yeah, so I've got you actually can't see him. Maybe if you go into the wide for a second. Oh, no, you can't see him at all. Let me see if I can grab him. I've got
That's Infinity War?
That's
this
Infinity
is my
War.
Infinity War. Now we go to my single. This is the one I've wanted for years. I was at Comic-Con and they weren't selling it yet, but they had this Captain America Infinity War, and it's simply the best one I've ever seen. But they didn't have it for sale. So I'm like, why the F are you putting this on display if I can't buy it right now?
It didn't come out for 2 more
I know.
years.
So then fast forward 2 years and I'm at Frankensons, and lo and behold, they had them. And I snapped that. It's the same day I bought your
My Moon Knight
figure.
statue.
I bought this guy up right away. That's the one I'm looking for. But just be careful. Okay.
Can you guys guess which one I want to have as my first hot toy?
Ooh.
Battinson.
Vision? Oh, of course, Pattinson. Well, of course, what am I saying?
But you really need to look into the
The Vision would be dope.
The InArt Studios Battinson with the rooted hair.
Yeah.
But here's the problem again. I always have to emphasize this, and I'm not even joking. You've got to be careful, because when you see how gorgeous, like these figures are gorgeous. And when you see how gorgeous they are and how great they look on your desk or on your shelf, you instantly start thinking, you know what would be good really right beside them? The Infinity War Natasha from that same scene.
You'll get no argument from me.
And all that kind of stuff, right? Because when you buy one, you are on the precipice of buying 5. And the thing is, these things are like $300 a shot.
I was just going to ask the price because my daughter's obsessed with anime figurines and they run $100 to $500. I mean, thousands.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
she has so many and she just keeps going.
My 80s cocaine addiction cost me less money than
Yeah,
Hot Toys did
this
today.
Deadpool, this is a 1/4, maybe even a little bit bigger. I love this Deadpool
It's
figure.
amazing.
But this Deadpool figure ran me, I mean, the sticker price was like $650, and the guys at Frankensons, they went down to $575 for me, and I justified it in my head. It's like, well, it's for the set decoration on the show. It's a business expense.
Yeah, that's what it's
It is.
for.
And it was, and it is for business expense. So I got to make it a tax issue. But the problem is when you buy one, you're on the cusp of buying 5. And it's not like my Funko Pops, right? I have hundreds of Funko Pops. You know why? Because they're like $8 a shot, $12 a shot. You can walk into, what's the store you guys
Hot Topic.
You can walk into Hot Topic, buy 5
Or
of them,
GameStop.
and it costs you
Yeah.
$60, right? And they're pretty there. These are different. So just congratulations on getting it. Just be careful because they can get real expensive real fast.
Speaking
And by the way, I didn't have a cocaine addiction in the 80s. I just want to be clear.
No,
on that.
that's today.
Does
That's
Anne
today.
get
That's
to-
No,
not
that was in the
80s.
aughts.
John, does Anne get to collect things like, Chanel purses or
She has awesome hot
Louboutins?
toys.
She has hot toys.
She has
That's
Spider-Gwen.
it?
She's got
Okay.
Spider-Gwen.
She has-
She's
I was
got
gonna say, as long
Miles.
as
She's
it's
got
even here.
several Star Wars ones. Yeah, Anne. See, Anne is not your typical Filipino woman who has to have a Louis Vuitton bag
Is
and
that Filipino?
and is a
women?
nurse and all that.
And is a nurse.
That's
Hilarious, I'm
that's
sorry.
Filipino for you.
I will
Dying.
say she also poses her figures well.
Yes, she loves her figures. When you go into Anne's office, it's figures. It's like all different types of
Nice.
figures and stuff like that. Yeah, she
You
likes that
married her
stuff too.
for a reason.
I married well.
Yes,
I
you
married
did. You
very
married
well.
up.
And she's hot.
And she's not a nurse. Like,
But she's a
Her
total
sister
nerd.
is, isn't it? Isn't her sister a nurse?
Herself, yes,
Okay.
and her sister is a nurse.
Such a
Yeah,
horrible
as stereotypical as you can get. Her
I
sister's a
know.
nurse. Her Filipino sister's a nurse. All right.
Oh, goodness.
What's next?
Okay. KC Mack says, I think I might have to catch up on Severance since now it seems John Noble has joined the cast of season 2. Loved him in Fringe.
Dude, I have loved John Noble ever since Lord of the Rings. This guy carries a power and a presence with a commanding voice. Like, it can be in something like Lord of the Rings. It can be in The Boys. It can be in, what's the Headless Horseman show that was on Fox?
Sleepy Hollow.
It was Sleepy Hollow. He carries this presence, and of course, Fringe. This guy is amazing. I love him. And you know what? Severance is already fantastic. So his addition, what do you think about it?
I can't wait. I mean, I think he's great. He has a gravitas to him.
He's classically trained.
Yeah. And you can tell.
Yeah.
You can absolutely tell.
He's just great.
All right, what's next?
Esteban Reyes says, Rob, why are you such a homie? Thank you for your work. I love that. Why are you such a
I don't
homie?
Why
know,
are you a
man.
homie, man?
I like to,
John is annoyed. No, I'm just
I'm-
kidding.
I'm
Why isn't John the homie?
I'm homie the clown.
That's the one I would say, as they say in Blood In, Blood Out, Vatos
Blood.
Locos forever.
Por vida.
Do you know that movie?
Vatos, of course. I'm Mexican.
La
Of course,
Onda.
from Texas. I'm a Tejana. I know.
Oh, my carnal.
That's a great movie.
By the way, thank you. If you do you know, well, I'll tell you about this later.
What? I
I met the whole cast and the director. We did a reunion online on YouTube.
You met Milkweed?
Well, he was not there.
By the way, do you
Milkweed
still
was
do that?
not there.
Do you still do that thing where when you get really mad at somebody, you start speaking to them in Spanish?
What? We're getting
You
into stuff, John.
you did that a couple of times.
I
It was
did?
never at me. It was never at me.
Was it my daughter? I mean, yeah, sometimes I'll speak to my
No,
daughter.
I mean,
in
no, it
Spanish.
would be you'd be on the phone a couple of times. This is obviously years ago. But
Right,
you'd be on the
at
phone with
AMC.
somebody, and I could tell it was like some kind of heat discussion.
Oh,
and all of a sudden, your
yes.
language changed.
That's because I was speaking to one of my family members or my mom, and I didn't want you to hear me curse her out. So I was like, I'm going to say this in Spanish.
I
so
could
she
tell you were
understands.
cursing them out.
That's the beauty of knowing 3 languages.
I did not need to be trilingual to understand that you were cursing them out. All right.
Love it. You're just airing all my dirty laundry
Wow.
today, John.
All right.
okay.
Hey,
What's
you love
next?
American. You,
That's
you-
okay,
you-
John. We're homies.
Yeah, we're homies. There you
Anyone who
go.
loves Blood In, Blood Out, we're friends forever.
Por vida.
Vatos Locos forever.
Oh, you guys are fun. Okay. Matthew Medina says, see how they run now on HBO Max. See how they run now on
That's
HBO
the
Max?
name of
HBO
the
Max
movie.
now?
Okay.
Wow, I didn't know that already.
I didn't even get
You're
to see it in
welcome.
the theaters.
Yeah, no, that was a movie that we got Saoirse Ronan and you've got Academy Award winner
Sam Rockwell.
and this whodunit glass onion sort of style murder mystery.
Wow.
And we saw the trailer and we went bonkers.
But that was like a month ago.
yeah. Well, that was a while ago. And then out of nowhere, somebody said, "Hey, did you go see?"
Once, I mean, it aired.
Yeah, see them run like last week. I'm like, "What do you mean last week?" It's like it came in there. So I had no idea it
Very
even
limited
opened.
run.
That's crazy.
So I have not had a chance to watch it because it's like it came out like weeks before when I finally found out it was.
So
even
what
in
is
theaters.
it called exactly?
See how they run.
See how,
See how
they,
they
run.
run. He's not saying go see how they
No.
run. It's
No,
see
it's
how they
called
run
See How They
now on
Run.
HBO. Okay, got it.
And now knowing it's on HBO Max, well, I've already said I got to watch Andor tonight. I got to watch Tales of the Jedi. I'm gonna watch Dodgeball again tonight, but now I got to watch. My
You got
dance
such a
card
hard
is pretty
job,
full
John.
tonight.
What a rough life you live, you know?
But I got things I wanted to do, but it's going to be plopped down in the theater room tonight, just watching all this stuff. I'm very excited about it. Thanks for putting that on my radar, man. I appreciate that.
Just so
All right.
everybody knows, See How They Run is hilarious. I was busting up the entire movie. I did not expect it to be that funny or to be that good, and it was hilarious. So you're in
The
for a
trailer's
treat.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
The trailer's absolutely.
They look
I
great.
can't wait to watch this.
I'll
All
have to
right,
watch
Brooke,
that
what's
too.
next?
Chris Parker writes, do you guys remember the Dream Team?
Oh yes, Michael
Yeah.
Keaton.
I had forgotten all about this movie, and I'm not sure if it would hold up on a rewatch. What do you think, John?
It's been a while. I mean, but I remember I loved it as a kid.
I did too.
So it's a bunch of guys in an asylum that break out to do something.
Is Christopher Lloyd in that movie?
Yeah, I don't know if it's Christopher Lloyd. You know who it is? Do you remember Alec Baldwin's The Shadow?
Yeah.
Do you remember his taxi driver? The guy who's his driver?
Christopher Lloyd was One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, though, wasn't he in that? Or was he not?
I think
he was very young.
Vincent Schiavelli's in that. Danny DeVito's in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
But yeah, the Dream Team, I remember loving it when I was younger, but I gotta admit, there it is. Oh, and you're right, it was Christopher Lloyd in there.
Oh,
That's what I thought.
I thought it was the other guy, but I'll tell you what, it's been a long time. No, it's both of them. It's both Christopher Lloyd and him, the guy I was thinking of.
Michael Keaton rocking the mullet.
It's been a long time.
Oh,
Is
yeah.
that Stephen First on the end there, in the Aloha shirt?
I'm not really sure, to be honest with you.
It's Michael Keaton, Christopher Lloyd, Peter Boyle,
Peter Boyle's who I was thinking.
Wow.
Peter Boyle, yeah.
Wow, what a cast.
It
Gotta
has
watch
been
that
a
again.
long time since I've seen this movie. So I can't say whether it holds up but now I want to watch. Okay.
looks
Yeah.
fun.
So
It
tonight,
looks fun.
Andor, see how they run.
Jeez.
Dodgeball. No, I'll have to catch
That
up.
was
Dream Team.
89.
The Dream Team.
Yeah, Keaton still had his
Dodgeball,
Mr.
throw
Mom
that one.
kind of look going on there.
All right. What's next?
Fangblaze71 says, I could be overthinking this, but how is Kang in Ant-Man 3? Didn't the 616 Kang die at the end of Loki, or is this the same Kang from the past?
There's a different
Well,
Kang.
it's important to point out that the Kang in Loki, nothing about Loki was in 616. Right? That was remember the Time Variance Authority, that is something that sat outside of time. So
in the
the
microverse.
one that He Who Remains and that version of Kang was something totally different. Remember, even that version of Kang talked about all the other Kangs. There's a whole bunch of other ones. This is just another
Yeah.
one of them.
There's the Council of Kangs.
Well, in the comic books,
Yeah,
yes,
but I mean, there's a lot.
which
No,
is
but
where,
I mean-
of course, the Council of Ricks, that's where the Council of Ricks kind of came from.
That, I mean, at the end of Loki, we get the new version of Loki, and that's probably the not Loki, Kang.
Of Kang, yeah.
And that's probably the Kang at the end of Loki, the very end scene of Loki that we see in Ant-Man and the Wasp.
What do you mean,
And
the
the-
statue?
Yeah.
The statue, yeah.
It's maybe, or again, remember, there's not just one Kang out there. He talked about all these multiples of Kangs.
Got
So-
some explaining to
Anyway,
do.
that was not, the Kang we saw die was not the 616 Kang. So I don't know that there is a 616 Kang, to be honest with you. All right, what's next?
Jedediah Elias again says, did you see the trailer for A Christmas Story Christmas? Already got one terrible sequel in 2012, but with Christmas Chronicles director, it could work.
I'll tell you what, we watched the Tim, who's in Santa
Oh,
Claus?
Tim Allen.
We saw
yeah.
the Tim Allen trailer for the Santa Clauses, and that was vomit-inducing bad. Like, that looked awful. I saw the little teaser for A Christmas Story Christmas that they put out, just with the little thing, just where you see him put on his glasses. It got me kind of excited for it. I have not seen this trailer yet, but I am absolutely intrigued to watch this. Rob, have you seen the
Yeah,
trailer?
we watched it just before lunch.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, and I'm a big fan of Peter's. You know, I've known him for a while, and I hope it's great. But the trailer's a little underwhelming, John.
Ooh,
A
really?
little underwhelming.
Yeah, I
Did
would
you
say
guys think that
say
too?
that.
not very good.
Yeah, but that could be the trailer house.
yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
Rob,
yeah.
Might not be indicative of the film.
you know, Rob, what we have in common with A Christmas Story and the first day that we met, the costume designer you interviewed.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. That is right. That's the first time we met.
My sister went to school, elementary school, with the kid.
That was
from
Ellen
Christmas Story.
Rojnik, right?
Yes.
I dated the mom from Christmas Story. No, I didn't. I'm just trying to be included here. That's all. I have no Christmas story. So,
I
all
don't
right.
either.
What's next?
But you will.
Sam Fisher writes, did you know there's an audio drama of the Good Omens book with David Tennant and Michael Sheen voicing Crowley and Aziraphale? Fale? Just found it on Audible.
No idea. It's funny because Audible has just become one of the sponsors of the John Campea Show. We'll talk about them a little bit later, I'm sure. But no, I did not. I mean, we've got the show, so I'm not sure why I do the audio drama.
They do a great job. I mean, I think the Sandman's on Audible, isn't it?
Yes.
And they've just released the third. They're incredible. Each one's like 11 hours long.
Whoa.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible.
All right. What's next?
Chris Parker says, it's been 8 years since Peter Jackson directed a narrative feature. I'd like to see him do more, but do you think The Hobbit burnt him out?
Listen, if you watched a lot of the special features and everything too regarding The Hobbit, and that's not Peter Jackson, but there's a lot of interesting things
I think that's Christian Rivers.
about The Hobbit, and he
Look at
talks
the
about
young
it did burn him out. Because remember, he was not supposed to direct The Hobbit. Guillermo del Toro was going to direct The Hobbit for the longest time, but it got dragged out so long that Del Toro eventually had to leave and move on to things because he had other commitments. And so with no other options available, Peter Jackson stepped in himself to do it, and he ran himself ragged. That is also not Peter Jackson. I'm kidding, Taylor.
No, that
That
is,
was-
but he lost a lot of weight.
I'm just teasing you.
Whose
This
dad
one.
is this?
But yeah, so whether or not that's completely burned him out of it, maybe. Because remember, we talked a little while ago too, that Tintin, Steven Spielberg and Peter Jackson had this pact. They were going to make a series of Tintin films. One Spielberg would produce, or Peter Jackson would produce and Steven Spielberg would direct. The next one Spielberg would produce and Jackson would direct, but they never did another one. So I would love to see him get back on the horse again and direct something, because it reminds me a lot of Rob, and maybe this is going a little bit hyperbole, but it reminds me a little bit of Mike Myers doing The Love Guru, where think about this, coming off of Lord of the Rings, Peter Jackson also did a King Kong movie, which I think was all right, but a lot of people liked it. It did well for him. Then he had the one about the murdered
The
girl.
Lovely Bones.
The Lovely Bones, right? Which a lot of people really enjoyed. He got a lot of acclaim for that. So you got Lord of the Rings, to King Kong, Lovely Bones, and then The Hobbit happened. And personally, I think The Hobbit is better than most people give it credit for, although it was clearly a big step down from the original trilogy. I happen to like the Hobbit films. The third one was, I think, the weakest of them, but still. So you're Peter Jackson, and you've gone from really high to high to high. And then all of a sudden you put out these films and you're getting the type of reception and reaction that you're not accustomed to getting, right? It reminds me a lot of Mike Myers' situation when it came to Love Guru. He was like beloved and everything and put out Love Guru and people hated it. And that really felt, oh yeah, there it is. And that really, look at John Oliver.
I know,
I forgot John
John Oliver.
Oliver was in there. And that really negatively affected him to the point that he disappeared from movies.
Yeah.
And I wonder if there might be a little bit of that with Peter Jackson after The
I
Hobbit.
think maybe so. I mean, I want to say that I'm so glad Mike Myers is finally back. He dipped his toes
Yep.
in Inglourious Bastards.
Yep.
And he disappeared a little bit again. And now I feel like he's coming back.
Yeah.
And I
we
think-
need him back.
Now, maybe he just finds a solace, because I know that Peter Jackson loves his like quiet, thing. So he's been doing like he did They Shall Not Grow Old. He did The Beatles Get Back. He's into this documentary phase.
Yeah. Yeah, he really is. And there's a little bit of a separation there, right?
Right.
But I would love to see Peter Jackson just straight up get back in the director's chair. I really, really would. And I think it's coming. I really do. All right. What's next?
Fangblaze71 writes, God of War, Ragnarok, and Wakanda.
Fraggle Rock.
Down at Wrangle Rock.
Dun, dun, dance your cares
feeling-
away. Dun, dun. Okay, sorry.
I'm glad I'm having fun. Ragnarok, Fraggle Rock, and Wakanda Forever are coming out in the span of 24 hours. We're in good times.
Yeah, of course. Now, one is a video game, one is a movie. Somebody asked me, there it is. Work your cares
I did
away.
not say Fraggle Rock, though.
How quickly Taylor's got those Fraggle Rock
I
pictures
know,
ready
Taylor.
to go.
Thank you.
But I mean, I've had people ask you, do I think it's going to affect Wakanda Forever? It's like, no, not really. Like, will it have an impact? Like, are there going to be some people out there that stay home from the movies to play a video game one night? Sure. But I think most people are sane. Well, they'll go, hey, I got the game. I can play it for a few hours. And now I'm going to step away for a couple hours to go watch this movie. And I'm going to come right back and play it again.
But
I
I
think
mean,
most people will be like that. So there
mean,
will be an impact, but not a huge one.
It's an opening weekend. It's
Yeah.
not an opening day and done. So you're either going to go see the movie, right, on Friday or Saturday, or you're going to game Friday, Saturday, and see the movie Sunday. You're still going to get the weekend number.
Right.
Yeah. So an impact, yes. A big, legitimate, tangible impact, I don't think so. But you're right, man. If you're into this whole genre and you looking for that's going to be a good weekend.
It is
That's
a
gonna
good
be
weekend.
really good
But
weekend.
I think it's the audience is the same. If you're playing some God of War, you're probably going to be interested in Wakanda Forever. So like you said, Jonathan, people are going to do both.
yeah, people are going to do both.
I love those.
You're not
I
going
love
to
when those
finish God
weekends
of War
come
in a
along.
weekend.
All right, what's next?
At least I hope.
Why do I feel like if I were in school and Taylor were presenting and we started to look at each other, we would be the two who wouldn't be able to stop
Well, I
laughing?
don't know. The
We
last episode we did, he had to literally get his breath.
We
breath
can't-
I already had to use my inhaler today.
His inhaler.
I can't stop laughing now. It's horrible. Okay, John Redcorn says, do you think The Rock is cool with JG in charge of DC? James Gunn in charge of DC.
Why are people? I've had so many people ask you. It's like,
Me too.
Do you think? Do you, well, like? Do you? Like,
Almost implying like they thought The Rock was in line to lead it.
That's exactly it. Like you can tell from a lot of questions I've been getting from people, there was some impression out there that The Rock was going to be the head of DC Studios. Like I had somebody write to me, he's like, why do you think they passed over Dwayne Johnson for James Gunn? It's like, passed over? Dwayne Johnson was never going to be considered. By the way, he doesn't want to be the head of DC Studios.
He doesn't want to be an executive.
You think he wants to take a 95% pay cut so he can run a studio?
No, he's talent. He's
And on
camera.
top of that, listen, Dwayne Johnson is my second favorite movie star behind Ryan Reynolds. Ryan Reynolds is my favorite movie star. And thank you. And by the way, he was that before he was paying us lots of money for his to hawk his Mint Mobile stuff. By the way, my favorite cell phone provider I've ever had. But Dwayne The Rock Johnson is my
How about
second
that
favorite
Red
movie
Notice?
star. There is nothing about Dwayne Johnson that qualifies him to be the head of a studio. He was never going to be the head of a studio. And here's the real answer is, like, bring up the question again. I want to get the wording right. And in asking the question, do you think The Rock is cool with it? The real answer to that is, who cares? It doesn't matter if The Rock is cool with it or not. It really doesn't matter.
The Rock is a brand. He's his own brand.
He has exactly his own brand. So in the question of is The Rock cool, the real answer is probably, because The Rock's a pretty cool guy. But ultimately, the real answer is it doesn't matter if The Rock is cool with it or not. But yeah, let's just set something straight. The Rock was never in line to be head. The Rock once said, like a couple weeks ago, that he offered himself as a consultant because, you know, he hears from a lot of fans and he says, I'd be willing to consult. But I think some people took that and said, well, he's famous, therefore he must be the next head of DC Studios. Never going to happen.
I can't imagine James Gunn's work with both Dave Bautista and John Cena. I'm sure they're already friends. I'm sure no one's happier for James Gunn to be head of the DC universe than Dwayne Johnson is.
Yeah, it's directly related to the fact that he got Henry Cavill. He fought for Henry Cavill to come back.
Yeah.
He wanted Cavill, and people thought, well, that was an executive move. He must be making decisions for DC now.
Well,
That's
yeah, and
elite.
everybody forgets. Everybody forgets. Like I remember I had this one discussion with somebody online. This is the misunderstanding that a lot of people have about how Hollywood works and all this kind of stuff, right? And we were talking about how it was great that the new leadership at Warner Brothers decided to bring Henry Cavill back. And I had this one guy online just insisting to fight with me. That was The Rock who did that. That wasn't Warner Brothers who got Henry Cavill back. That was The Rock. It's like, you do understand The Rock can't bring anybody back unless Warner Brothers says so.
Whose contract was that?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure on the letterhead that
It's
was
like,
the Warner
no, The
Brothers
Rock
letterhead.
brought him back. Warner Brothers. It's like, no, the whole reason The Rock wasn't able to bring him back before is because the old Warner Brothers leadership didn't want Henry Cavill. And now they were able to bring him back because the new leadership does want Henry Cavill.
Yeah.
Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not taking anything away from the incredible efforts that Dwayne Johnson did to bring my beloved Henry Cavill back to the DCU as Superman. I'm very, very grateful. And listen, he had a lot to do with it, absolutely. But it wasn't his decision. It was Warner Brothers' decision to bring them back. But that's the perception of things. All right, anyway, what's next?
Did The Rock name himself after Fraggle Rock?
Yes.
I'm pretty sure. Not a lot of people know that. I'm impressed you knew that, Devin. All right, what's next?
Keep me laughing. Happy James Gunn's first day. Rob, not R-O-B. Rob.
Ula 10. The one below it. Sorry, the one below it.
Ula 10 at the bottom there.
Goodness, you put it at the bottom again. I don't know where my education went. I just can't follow along. Can a live action amalgam Marvel DC collab work?
No.
Amalgam.
And would we
Marvel
want
DC
it to?
collab.
No. I mean, would we want it to work? If they made it, I desperately want it to work.
Well,
but it can't work.
But the amalgam universe was when they combine these character traits into these new creations.
Right.
It wasn't good.
That's not even Marvel versus DC.
No.
That's a blend.
Yeah, it was this blend. I didn't like it in the comics. I certainly wouldn't like it in the movies. But that's
It'll satisfy nobody.
Yes, it would satisfy no one.
Yeah. All right, what's next?
The J Thunder 45 says, "Happy James Gunn Day." Is this Rob or ROB?
No,
Rob.
it's me. It's
Yeah.
Rob.
Rob, the homie. People are already saying that Top Gun Maverick is the best 4K Blu-ray out there. Will you be picking it up?
He already has it.
Really?
Of course he
really
has it.
Really? I pre-ordered the double steelbook set. How can people ask that? No, it's a good question. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to be disdainful of it. No, I have to say I have not looked at it yet because it comes out today. I have read everyone who's reviewed this disc has said it is the demo disc of all time.
Really?
Like it very well might be the
In
greatest.
terms of what?
In terms of the picture and sound quality.
Okay.
The Dolby Atmos track is supposed to be incredible, which doesn't surprise me because, between the aerial photography, I mean, that was razor sharp to me. So my demo disc is Dune. Not because it's like the greatest movie in the world, but the quality of the picture and sound are insane. But people are saying that this disc is even better.
Wow.
So with that Dolby Atmos track, I can't even imagine. I mean, it is Top Gun Maverick, so you'd expect nothing less. Because
Right.
Bruckheimer's films always have the best. But man, the reviews are. I mean, it's funny because you think, how can something get better? But it apparently is.
The thing
Can
with
it beat my Raising Arizona VHS tape though?
No,
No, nothing
Hey,
beats
nothing
that.
could
Oh,
be
I
your
love
rating.
that movie.
Because
Just
your
saying.
cursed seed could find no purchase, or
That-
the seed could find
the
no
thing with Dune though is like there were times where it was hard to decipher where the sound effects stopped and the music started.
I have to say, I saw that on the Warner lot in the Steve Ross Theater. I've never heard anything like that.
Yeah.
And
Stunning.
And Blade Runner 2049
Right.
are the best sound mixes I've ever heard.
All right. What's next?
I have to say my favorite line from Raising Arizona is when he walks in and he has a pantyhose on his head. And he's like, son, you have a pantyhose on your head. And he's like, I know, just give me the diapers. And he's like, got the gun at him. It's such a great movie. I'm aging
it's
myself.
a brilliant movie
It's a
that not enough
great
people
movie.
appreciate.
It's my
All right.
cousin and I's favorite line.
What's next?
All right, Chris Parker says, you're right, Rob. All Quiet on the Western Front is a horror movie. Some of those scenes will forever be burned into my
it's
mind.
brutal. It is. I mean, it's no wonder Germany. I would not be surprised to see that film win the Academy Award for what's it called? It's not best
Foreign language film?
foreign language film. Is that what's? What,
I
didn't
think-
they
I-
change the?
I think
title
that's
of
what
it?
they changed it to, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, I could be wrong about that, but I
Yeah,
think they
it's
changed
gonna
to
it's
foreign
gonna win.
language film.
It's gonna win. I mean that would be. I can't believe that they didn't release that theatrically. I mean, I understand why Netflix picked it up.
Would a lot of people go see it though?
Well, people saw 1917. I get it. That was different.
Yeah, but it's.
But is
it's,
this movie? What language is this movie? in?
It's German.
Oh, that's
So you
true.
got that working
That's-
against it too,
that
right?
does
Like a lot of people
You know,
just-
that would be like a Lamley 7 though.
Yeah.
yeah. It's dude. It's incredible.
All right.
Incredible.
What's next?
9.8 Slabs Only writes, is the Banshees of Inisherin going to get a wide release? I thought theaters were starving for movies.
It's not the theater's choice.
Right.
It's the distributor. But I do think, a whole second.
Although I just want to put out, Jonathan has a 9.6 slab over on his desk.
Oh
there.
yeah. Hand me that. It's in the drawer.
What is that?
Yeah, what is that? What are we talking about?
A slabbed comic book.
Yeah.
Oh,
just-
yes,
I just-
yeah.
Comic.
I just
His
picked
is the
this up
9.6.
yesterday, guys,
But that's pretty
9.6.
dope. That's some John Byrne West Coast Avengers
Yeah.
action.
And we got Vision Quest, which
Yeah.
is a show coming up.
Yep.
So there you go.
I believe the Banshees of Inisherin is getting what they call something they don't do a lot of these days, but it's still done, called a slow rollout, where they open it in certain. For instance, its opening weekend it opened in 4 theaters. Then I think the following weekend it went to 54 or 55 theaters. I think it will be going wider, but I'm not 100% sure about that. But you'll see several movies every year will employ that sort of thing to build a little bit of a word of mouth and then start to expand it out to more markets. Whether or not it'll be legitimately wide, we'll find out. But again, that's up to the distributors, not up to the theaters. The theaters would love every movie to come out, but we'll see. All right, what's next?
Critical Temp says, can M'Baku be Panther if he worships the gorilla?
Yeah, we've gone through that a lot. Like a lot of people would say, well, M'Baku can't be because he doesn't worship Bast. Neither did Killmonger. And he took on the powers of the Black Panther because he took the heart-shaped herb. So it does not matter. You can be he is of Wakanda. The role of the Black Panther is the protector of Wakanda. And yes, the mythology of it and the history of it goes back to Bast. But if Killmonger, who doesn't give 2 squirts of urine about Boss, can become that, then somebody who is loyal to the protection of Wakanda absolutely can.
I
Plus,
think
separate-
M'Baku can do just about anything.
Yeah.
he
Baku
wants.
can do anything he wants.
I mean, he fought to be the king of Wakanda, and I understand the king of Wakanda and Black Panther can be separate, but exactly to your point, he fought to be the king, and if Killmonger could eat that flower and get the powers, then he could too.
Absolutely.
I
All
love
right.
how we talk of Wakanda as if it's a real place.
It is in our hearts.
In our hearts. In our hearts, it's a real place. Okay.
In our
What's
hearts
next?
and minds. Chris Parker says Tom Welling and Michael Rosenbaum are doing a Smallville rewatch podcast. Every single episode, of which there are 200 plus. It's a great podcast, and you forget how groundbreaking that show was.
That show was really ahead of its time. I mean, it did like superhero television. Yes, there had been some other things, but really, I think I don't think it's wrong to say that Smallville was the first superhero television show to really have a pop cultural impact.
Yeah.
Right?
And they took this, it didn't rely on the battle at the end of every episode between a costumed superhero and a costumed villain.
Right.
They did something different. They sort of downplayed that.
They made it a human story.
Yes.
It was a definitively CW show.
Yes.
But it was still, they went more in that direction of it, right? And they made, like Michael Rosenbaum's Lex Luthor, to a lot of people's still favorite Lex Luthor. I mean, and the whole thing of setting up that they were best friends as kids and all that kind of stuff. I mean, they just did some remarkable things. And by the way, had 20 plus episodes a season, just saying. And it was a beloved thing. And I think it remained as CW's best show until Supernatural came along.
Yeah.
It's just a truly landmark show. And I love that they're doing that. By the way, Michael Rosenbaum and Tom Welling have been business partners for a long time. They actually got into business with Stephen Amell from Arrow and winery business and all this
Yeah.
kind of stuff. They have a long standing relationship, these guys. All right, what's next?
Elemenopio says, so if this Black Adam story ends up a relic of the old WB, would this character get a soft reboot in the future under the new WB? Because there is that super setup at the end.
Yeah. So look, the new WB absolutely has plans for Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson moving forward. 100%. You've got the biggest movie star in the world in the stable. You race that horse, man.
And
Like,
we've got another one coming out. I mean, Shazam! Fury of the Gods is in that universe.
yeah.
I mean, it's all part of the same thing. As I said, I wouldn't be surprised if he's not in it.
How do
In
you
a
drop?
post-credit scene or something.
Yeah, how do you drop? Well, speaking of post-credit scenes, that's my point. Is how do you have that post-credit scene, and then have no plans to use the Dwayne Johnson again?
Well, you can.
Yeah, you can, but
You
why?
can. But remember, this post-credit scene was a result of the new
Right.
Warner Brothers, right? It was this post-credit scene did not happen while the old Warner Brothers owned the thing. This was something that came after Warner Brothers got their hands on it, approved it, even though Black Adam had already been shot. They went in, they did the post-credit scene. So that clearly tells us that they've got plans with it moving forward.
And one of the producers of Fury of the Gods happens to be the co-CEO of the new DC studios. So
There you go.
There's going to be some synergy there.
All right, what's next?
Corey Leach, I just wanted Black Adam to say, "Do you smell what the Rock of Eternity is cooking?"
Oh, jeez.
A trial catchphrase. Dad joke, sorry.
Yeah, no, listen, I was
Kinda funny.
You definitely could have worked in some rockisms in that. I was completely expecting side head to back head of the Rock. Somebody says something, he half turns and does the people's eyebrow. I was expecting that because that's a little more subtle. They didn't do that. He doesn't say, "Do you think I should let him go?" And then Dr. Fate start to answer and have the Rock say, "It doesn't matter what you think." I mean, they could have done that, but it might have been a little too much. And so I think it was probably a wise decision that they didn't. Although I would have laughed hysterically if they did. Probably would have gone over a lot of people's heads. All right, what's next?
Jose Reyes writes, "Hey guys, I feel that the Marvel comic universe
Cinematic.
cinematic universe peaked with Spider-Man NWH, and I feel that it needs a restart. They have said in their universe 616, so maybe go to 617, where they can focus on mutants and new characters."
It's not going to happen. And it did not. The MCU didn't. Quite frankly, they had a better movie come out after it. Shang-Chi's a better movie than Spider-Man No Way Home. I'll say it. I don't care. It's true. It's a better movie. It didn't have as much fan service in it. You don't get the old Spider-Man coming back. It's a better movie.
But Shang-Chi came out first.
Did it come out before No
Yeah.
Way Home? You know what? You're right. You're absolutely right about that. I got mixed that up for a
Yeah,
second.
yeah. But who's to say Wakanda Forever is not better than?
Yes, exactly. Like the reactions we're hearing out of Wakanda Forever are great. Like, here's the thing though. It's not a secret. We've talked about a lot on this show. Phase 4 has been the weakest of the phases. Not that
muddled.
it's been bad, but it has been the weakest of the phases. So I don't think listen, peaking only means you can have another peak later on, right? And so they are not done with the 616. They're not, that is always going to, and by the way, Avengers Kang and Avengers Secret Wars, I thought they were going to do it for a couple of years with Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. I guarantee by the end of Secret Wars, they're getting rid of the multiverse.
Oh yeah, it'll be done.
Yeah, it'll be, because that's why they're calling this one the Multiverse Saga. It'll be wrapped up and done, and then we get
But
back to
also,
the
we
mainline
got
stuff.
good stuff coming out. Like we got Quantumania coming out, which I think is going to be good. You've got Guardians coming out. The Marvels is coming out, which I don't know about, but it could be. I mean, so they've got a lineup of films that they've already laid out for the next 3 years.
And maybe Blade.
Maybe Blade.
Maybe a Blade movie.
That's what we should call it now. From now on.
Maybe Blade. That's the
Is
name,
Maybe
the name of the
Blade
movie.
coming? Any
Maybe
word on
Blade
Maybe
movie.
Blade?
All right, what's next?
156 Impulse says, I can't wait for Daredevil. Let's go.
I was just going to say in that
2024.
list you were saying, and Daredevil.
Well, not a movie,
I know,
but a series.
Yeah.
I listen, and I think out of all the things on She-Hulk, I thought the Daredevil stuff really worked. And I'll tell you what, it worked so well that even though I didn't like the She-Hulk show, I would kind of love to see Jennifer pop up in Daredevil series. I would love to see her pop. I love their dynamic. I love their banter and their back and forth.
For sure.
I thought, but I'm telling you though, one of the funniest things I've seen on TV all year was Daredevil's Walk of Shame. That was one of the funniest things. And I still remember I watched it and I saw him doing the morning walk of shame and I started laughing. He's in his full Daredevil outfit. But then when I watched it again, I realized he's also carrying his shoes over his shoulder.
That
I'm
was
like,
hilarious.
that is amazing. See, Brooke, I know you would know nothing about this, but a walk of shame is what happens
my
the morning
God.
after
What is going on?
somebody. I'm saying I know you know nothing
I know
about that.
nothing
You have
about
no
walks of
experience with that.
shame.
I'm
Ask
just
my
saying.
college friends.
None of us
Nothing.
in this room would know anything about
Nothing.
this.
Wow, John, you're killing me. You're asking for
I mean,
it.
any of us, but
You were
for
asking
the
for it.
viewers at home, the youngins
asking
at home,
for
walk of shame is when you have a one night stand
You
and
be
then
gone,
you
you're
got
my
to
friend.
walk
You know
home the
that?
next day. Nobody in
Getting
this room would know
real
anything about
comfy
that.
over there, John.
Nothing. The problem is a lot of our audience, sadly, probably doesn't know either.
No,
That's the
that's why I had
sad
to
part.
explain to them. I had to do
Yeah,
a
I
little bit of
understand.
mansplaining there.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. All
Can I
right.
say something too? She-Hulk, one of your subscribers wrote that I look and sound like Madison on She-Hulk.
Oh,
When you said
So
that,
I had to go and Google it.
when you said that leading up, I thought you were going to say her attorney, her attorney friend.
Yeah.
And now you say
her
Madison.
paralegal.
No.
Paralegal
Listen,
friend, and now I'm like Madison. Wow.
Madison with
Someone
alive
said
and not
that,
where
and
you
By the way,
Really
live.
everyone
being- I
loves,
thought
just
that
so
was
you
really
know,
funny.
everyone
Everybody loves
Madison.
Oh,
So that's-
good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. So there you
That
go.
should be the name of the series.
Everyone loves
loves
Madison. She should totally get her own series then. I love it. All right. What's next?
Oh, goodness, John. Casey Mack says Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey has a release date now. It will be in theaters for one night on February 15th before streaming.
Yeah.
Also, they're making a Peter Pan horror called Peter Pan Neverland Nightmare. Horror
Listen,
movie.
but here's the difference. The difference is this. First of all, Pooh, Blood and Honey, I cannot wait to watch this. It's going to be so awful. It's going to be so terrible.
gosh.
I guess you're going to
But
watch
this
it at
is a
home.
movie that is based on pure concept, right? It's the concept. It doesn't matter that it's made for $75 and it's going to be all kinds of awful. It doesn't matter. I don't know if you know anything about this movie, Brooke.
I don't know anything, but I can gather from that picture.
It's Winnie the Pooh and Piglet. Christopher Robinson has grown up and he comes back to the woods and he comes looking for Pooh and the rest of the gang, only to find out that they became really angry at being abandoned and they became carnivorous murderers.
Oh
and
my
they go on big murder sprees and violently kill people.
Wow.
And so Christopher Robinson
Could happen.
gets
Yeah,
caught in
totally.
that whole thing. There they are sneaking up on a girl in the thing. So
It's like the animatronics.
the difference though is while Winnie the Pooh is a beloved, gentle, wonderful children's thing, in actuality, the original Peter Pan, it actually gets pretty dark. Peter Pan murders a lot of people in the original book. It can be kind of dark. So I can see that's less of a stretch, I think, than the Winnie the Pooh one. I think it's less of a stretch. Anyway, all right. What's next?
Well, Pooh used to carry a gun back in the day, so that's like completely
Used to what?
carry a gun. You never seen Pooh with his gun?
No.
Pooh has a gun.
It's a shotgun.
It's a shotgun.
What?
Sawed-off
Yeah.
shotgun.
Because he was a hunter. He was
Yeah,
hunting.
he's a hunter.
Was he hunting honey?
So Pooh is,
He's hunting
Pooh
the
is
heffalumps
strapped
and the
from the
woozles.
get-go.
He's hunting wabbits.
He's hunting the
Locals
Fraggles.
forever, man.
That's right. He wants the Fraggles.
Viva.
That trash heap, the all-knowing trash heap, can be a real pain. All right, what's
I'm from
next?
Texas. I notice, when people are strapped. All right. Kurt says, I've recently seen See How They Run, and it was great. I still don't know why we don't see Saoirse Ronan and more.
Saoirse Ronan.
Saoirse Ronan.
I knew that. Saoirse Ronan and more big studio movies or franchises. Maybe she's not interested. Saoirse.
I don't know. I mean, listen, she is young. I don't even know if she's.
She has an incredible filmography too.
Well, here's the thing. I'm not even sure if she's in her
How old
early
is
30s
she?
yet.
No, she's not.
And she's still in her 20s. Can you confirm that for me, Jonathan?
Yeah.
I think she's still in her 20s. And
You're going to make me spell her name.
I
aren't you?
want to say
I had to try to say it.
3 Oscar nominations.
Yeah.
Maybe more. So can you look up her age and how many Oscar nominations? I'm thinking 3 off the top of my head, and maybe one, give or take 1 or 2. But she has, at her age, she has multiple Oscar nominations. She is highly sought after, but she's in the position right now where she can really pick and choose.
Oh, my God. She was born in 1994.
Wow.
So she's what?
She's younger than me.
28.
28? Yeah, that'll make her 28, right?
28.
So 28, and how many Oscars? IMDb should tell you if you click on the awards thing, it'll tell you how many
Yeah,
Oscar
let me look
nominations
that
she
up
has.
here.
Like I said, I'm guessing 3.
Well, nominated. Oscar nominee, 4 Oscar nominees.
4 Oscar
A
nominations.
BAFTA nominee, or wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 BAFTA nominees.
But the Oscar ones are the important
Yeah.
ones. 4 Oscar nominations at 28. Like that rivals Mayor of Easttown.
Kate Winslet.
Kate Winslet. That rivals Kate Winslet.
Almost like
at
everything
that
she's
age.
in. You know, when you think of it, it's like Atonement, Brooklyn, Lady Bird, Little Women.
I mean, she's an actress's actress.
She was great in Lady Bird too.
Oh, I didn't even like Lady Bird, and I thought she was great in that.
Yeah.
I mean, she's great in everything, but she will, when she feels like she wants to take her money-making shot at some of the bigger tentpole stuff, she will. But right now, she's just building an incredible legacy for herself already.
And by the way, the only reason I know how to pronounce her name is
I
because she was
should.
on late night talk shows and she said, "My name's Saoirse like inertia." And once
Like
I heard that,
inertia.
I was like, I'll
Okay.
never
When-
forget because I could never say her name.
When she
either.
first came on the scene, you can watch like compilations of people who had no idea who were interviewing her how to say her name.
Yeah, it was-
It's
yeah.
hysterical.
Yeah.
By the way, Jonathan Taylor,
Oh, I have it.
you got the tweet?
Oh, no, I thought you were going to say that the question that was skipped.
No. I know there's a question that was skipped, but if you can find James Gunn's Twitter,
Uh-huh.
because James,
Just go to
our
Twitter
buddy
and then-
Kevin
and
Rubio
then
texted
look up
this
James
to
Gunn.
me, but this is interesting. You know, we're talking about James Gunn going to do Superman thing. So James Gunn, it's his first day as co-chair, co-CEO of Disney Studios. He got
Warner
on
Brothers, DC.
DC Studios.
See, we're saying Disney on the show all the time.
Did I say Disney
You
Studios?
said
you said
Disney
Disney.
Studio.
Oh, I meant DC Studios.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Head of DC Studios. And he just put out this graphic on his Twitter that says, I've got to restrain myself. This would be one of those good things to use NDI, Jonathan, but there it is. It's Clark Kent, Superman, sitting down at a typewriter and saying, I've got to restrain myself, or I may absentmindedly punch this typewriter into twisted wreckage.
Oh, I love it.
I mean, James has got a
You know
lot
what?
of things he wants to
You
say.
said, John, you said that we would get an announcement today. That's as close as we could possibly.
That's as close as an announcement.
Wow.
And I don't think it's coincidence that it's Clark Kent. I don't think it's
Oh,
coincidence
no.
that's Superman there.
I mean, he was sitting on that graphic. He found that a long time ago.
Yeah,
He
yes,
didn't just
did.
decide to find. This was no cursory Google search.
Nope. That
This
means
is no
he's got a
boating
lot
accident.
he wants to say. He's got a lot he wants to say. Listen, I said 25% chance today we find out he's directing a Superman 2. I said 50% chance by the end of the week.
That
So
means
let's-
he's also writing it too.
Could be.
Think so.
Could be. All right. What's next?
Here's the picture of Winnie the Pooh with the
I
sawed-off
told
shotgun.
you.
Wow.
His little do-rag.
Oh,
too.
it's a cork gun. It's
I
a
think
toy
there's live
court gun.
ammunition in
Winnie the
that thing.
Pooh was gangster even back
he's
then.
Gangster, man.
That's a pissed off looking Winnie the Pooh.
What neighborhood's he from, though?
Well, and
That
then here's the
little bit
heffalump he's hunting.
He's-
Oh, there it is.
my
He's
God.
from East Side.
All right, let's keep going here. There was one we missed.
Yes, this one.
What's up next?
The bottom one?
Yep.
Okay, saynew.com. I cannot believe Andor is a true masterpiece.
It's utterly fantastic.
What was it?
Andor.
Oh yeah.
Andor is such next level Star Wars. It's the type of Star Wars I've wanted to see for a
Yep.
long time. Don't get me wrong, I absolutely love Star Wars for what it is, but what I've called Andor Star Wars for grown-ups, right? Not to say that if you don't like it, you're not a grown-up. That's not what I mean at all. I'm just saying that this is targeted at a more mature, they're going deeper themes, heavier narrative, like real character work that is far above, in certain areas, anything Star Wars or stuff like that is used to doing. And I never cease to be amazed by it. Every single episode, it's, and this is why the very first time I watched it, I got on social media and I said, this is more like an HBO show than it is a Disney Plus show. And it keeps feeling like that. And I mean that in the best way possible. Like, I know you've been really on board with this.
I love it, and I can't wait to see it tonight. I
Next
can't wait.
episode's tonight. I'm
I
so
can't
excited.
wait.
Because then after tonight, we still have 3 episodes left, don't we? After tonight. Because what's tonight? Episode 9?
Tonight's episode.
I believe
8.
it's 9.
No, I think
No, it's 9. You're right. It's 9.
so. We
It's 9.
still got 10, 11, and 12 even
Yeah.
after tonight.
And,
I mean,
and 11 and 12 are the climax, and then tonight's the middle episode, and then next week's is the climax of that 3-episode arc.
very excited about
Can't wait.
it. All right, what's next?
The man with the master plan writes, it's time to leave my jazz music all night on YouTube to fix the algorithm. Can't wait to see Ray back tomorrow.
I have no idea what that means. I'm sure it has something to do with YouTube news or something. But yes,
Yeah.
for those of you who don't know, Ray Ora, he's been gone for the last week and a half. He will be back tomorrow. Healing up nicely. He had his follow-up appointment with the doctors yesterday at the hospital. Healing up well ahead of schedule. So he's going to be in tomorrow. It's going to be fun to have him back.
And he
in the
can tell
office.
us about the new documentary.
What?
Pickle My Foot. The Ray Orr story. I mean, we were waiting. You announced it. Now we know what it's
I know,
about.
forever ago. Forever
Now we
ago.
know what
Now we
it's
can talk
about.
about it. All right, what's next?
Wait, what happened to Ray?
Long
Why-
story.
yeah,
I'll
okay.
tell you about it off camera.
But he's going to be the star of a new documentary.
No, he will not.
Apparently so. The Chosen Girl review says, hey crew, it's my birthday. Always love the show.
Happy birthday,
Happy birthday,
Chosen
Chosen
May
Girl.
you have a marvelous
Happy
week
birthday.
and a
Happy
fabulous
birthday.
year ahead of you. Thank you for spending part of your birthday here with us. It's an honor that you are.
Do you
Thanks
think
for being here.
Obi-Wan Kenobi says, "You were the chosen girl" to her.
That was bad.
Sorry.
Wait,
was
do
bad.
another take. Do another
Not
take.
as bad as some of the things I've said today, but it was bad.
Yeah,
You
really,
were meant
John.
to
We
make a
know.
good Obi-Wan series,
Talk about-
not make a terrible one.
Documentary. John's been putting his foot in his mouth all day today.
Oh, no. No, it never happens.
This
All
has been
right.
the best. This has been the best open mic ever.
All right. What's next?
Addison says, I got to watch The Whale a week ago. Very moving.
How can we see this? When is The Whale coming out?
I don't know.
Is it come out in November? Another movie we don't know
But
about?
Brendan Fraser is, I mean, if you listen to the buzz, he's the front runner right
but
now
they
for
keep
an Oscar.
talking about the. I mean, in all honesty,
It's been playing a lot of festivals. And I think I think the for your consideration Oscar screeners have gone out to the Academy. So I should actually talk, you know what? That would mean probably that Aaron has it. Because
I just
it
really
would also
wanna-
go out to SAG.
I'm an Aronofsky fan. I really want to see this. I
Yeah.
mean, it sounds great. I'm like, when does this movie come out?
Yeah. I'll talk to some of my friends who are Oscar voters and see if they've got screeners for it yet. All right. What's next?
CJ Rebirth says, they killed Milton. Milton was with us?
Suicide Squad. Right? That's Polka Dot Man,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yes, that's right. It's like, I love that scene. Say they killed Milton. Who? He's literally been with us the whole time. No idea who you're talking about. That was great. I mean, it wasn't Milton is the polka dot man. It was the guard who was the guy
guard,
who was
yeah,
hanging
yeah.
out with them. That scene was so funny. Really? And like they're like, no, I'm not recalling anything. He's been with us
Like,
the whole
who's Milton?
time. I love that scene. All
That
right.
movie's. It just gets better the more you watch it. By the
It
way.
does. It really does. All right. What's next?
Sebastian Gomez writes, saw the Banshees of
Inisherin.
Inisherin with my best friend. Both of us recently getting out of rough breakups. Oh, movie had us emotional and also dying of laughter.
I've heard like when you're talking about Brendan Gleeson and Colin Farrell and all that kind of stuff, I've heard it's actually really heavy.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks really funny, but the trailer just makes it look like a comedy, but I've heard it's very emotional and very heavy. But the basic idea of the movie is, after I don't know how many years of friendship, one guy just decides, I don't want us to be friends anymore. And Brendan Gleeson says to Colin Farrell's character is just not having it. It's like, what are you talking about? And the trailer is fantastic. And then it actually says, I think, so Colin Farrell won't let up. He's like, no, I'm not giving up on our friendship. We're gonna be friends, blah, blah, blah. So finally, Brendan Gleeson says to him, this is in the trailer. He says, look, I got a big pair of shears at home. Every time you bug me, I'm going to cut off one of my own fingers. So then now you're in a catch-22. If you care about him, you don't want to pester him about still being friends because he's going to hurt himself if he does. But he's been your lifelong mate. So so it's great, but I've heard that the trailer is a little bit misleading in the sense that it's not just some jovial kind of fun slapsticky. It's very, very heavy, very, very
That's
emotional.
heavy.
It does sound
But
heavy.
from McDonough, I wouldn't expect anything less.
Yeah.
But I am so excited to watch this movie.
So it said Inisherin.
Inisherin.
Inisherin. And
yeah.
what does that mean?
It's a town.
It's a place.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's a place in Ireland.
Inisherin. Got
Yeah.
it. Sounds
All right.
heavy.
It's right
What's
next
next?
to Fraggle Rock.
Right next to
Ragnarok.
Fraggle Rock.
Dance Production says, did you guys read the Puck article about Kathleen Kennedy rushing the sequel trilogy to meet release dates and using fan service to make it safe?
No, but it's not surprising. I mean, we've all known that, and we've all talked about that for a long time. Listen, the reality is this. Those Star Wars movies were not rushed. They had all the time in the world to make them. And they had all the time in the world to plan them. And they had all the time in the world to make something good and to come up with a plan. And listen, I know I go back to this all the time, but Joss Whedon wrote the script for Cabin in the Woods in a weekend. Now, I'm not saying that means any script can be written in a week. Not at all. I'm not suggesting that at all. But they had worlds of time to come up with a plan for that sequel trilogy.
Well, they did have a plan, and then Carrie Fisher died, derailing what Colin Trevorrow had written.
But not
But
really.
they didn't really. They had a seed of a plan.
Yeah.
Like what became clear, you kind of recognize this once you got into the second movie, let alone the third, was that they were just going, okay, we're gonna make this one. And they go to the director and say, make a movie. And they made a movie. And then they went to Rian Johnson, the director of second one, and said, go ahead and make your movie. Whatever you want to make. Do whatever you want to do. There was no structured plan, and Kathleen Kennedy is the head of that studio. That was her responsibility to make sure there was a plan. But what became more and more apparent was, like, as the movies went on, because I love The Force Awakens. I love that movie. But as the franchise went on, you realized, oh, they're winging it.
Yeah.
They're like totally winging it. And they had some ideas.
Well, Trevorrow's Duel of the Fates script was pretty good.
Well, I've heard that,
But then, I mean,
but it wasn't great.
I don't know. I mean, it was something that after Carrie Fisher's death, it was derailed.
Right, but even then, that script, you could tell this was not what they had in mind when they made The Force Awakens. Right?
Well, yeah.
That became clear. There was no plan. So that's
true.
Yeah. So here's the thing. You could have given them 2 more years. Wouldn't have made a difference. Because their strategy was let each director just do whatever they want to do.
Which makes no sense in this day and age when everything is serialized and you don't have a beginning, a middle, and an end. Why wouldn't you do that?
After Force Awakens, J.J. Abrams was in an interview, and they were asking him about the next movie. And he said, well, I don't know. We don't have the next script totally completed yet. We're still working on ideas. When I read that,
Yeah.
I went, oh, no.
Especially look at the way Force Awakens ends.
And I was like, you guys didn't have a set plan for all 3 of these movies? You guys are just making this up as you go along? I couldn't believe it.
Yeah. No, it was just, and that's one of the reasons why I totally respect Kathleen Kennedy. She belongs in the Hollywood Hall of Fame as one of the greatest producers of all time. Absolutely. But that's one of the big reasons. I just think she has proved, even though I was all for her hiring, when George Lucas picked her, I was like, yeah, on paper, this is a great pick. I was all for it. But as you start to see that she was in over her head in this particular job. And Yeah, and that's one of the big things of it. All right, anyway, let's keep going here. How much do we got
I
left
think we're on
here?
the last one, right?
We have a couple left.
All right, what's next?
2 more.
Just a few. Jason Lauricella says, "Hi John, I love your show. I
Thank you.
just watched Black Adam and thought it was okay. Kind of pissed I had to sit through 30 minutes of trailers and commercials."
Oh, don't even get me going. Somebody already got me going on it. You know, that is
We're gonna wind you up again.
that is a passion point for me about the idiocy of 30 minutes of trailers and commercials. It's so ridiculous. Yeah, listen, I get it. Black Adam is one of those movies that I totally get that somebody doesn't like it. I totally get that somebody loves it. And I totally get that somebody just thinks it's okay. It has some massive, massive weaknesses, but the things it does well, it does real well.
Yeah.
And the things it does badly, it does really badly. But all I can say is for me, I had a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun watching that movie. I've seen it a few times in theaters. I'm going to go see it at least one more time because it's a fun. And actually, you know what? My wife, Ann, I had seen it the first time without her. And I said to Ann, Ann was like, "Oh, I don't know if I want to see it anymore because you said it's actually kind of bad, but really, really fun. And I don't know if I want to see it." So we did go to see it. She went to go see it with me my second time. And the movie was over. She turned to me. She goes, "What was the problem? This is great." So like Ann thought it was fantastic.
Well, that's
So,
good.
Yeah, there you go. All right. What is our
Looking for
final
movies to
question
see.
today?
I feel like I should watch it. Okay, Kev RA says, "Rob, I heard that Nintendo liked an early draft of the 90s Super Mario Brothers movie. Was that the version you worked on? I would love to hear any and all differences between that and the final version."
Okay, yes, the first version of the Super Mario Brothers movie was going to be directed by the man who directed Mom and Dad Save the World. I want to say,
I love the John Lovitz movie.
yeah,
With Terry Garr.
yes.
I fucking love that movie.
So and Fred Caruso, who was a producer of Godfather 2, was producing it for Roland Joffe, who made The Killing Fields and The Mission.
That's a big jump to Super Mario Bros.
yeah.
I know they were producing the film, and when I was working for Altarian Studios, which is a makeup effects house that did like Darkman and Swamp Thing, and we did Sleepwalkers, and that's when I worked on Army of Darkness. And when I was there, they got the contract to do Super Mario Brothers, and it was like the show. I mean, Koopa and all the mushroom people. I mean, and they were designing. They spent millions of dollars at our shop. And all these guys, I mean, I was just a glorified PA. All of these guys were building all of this. It was incredible. And the stuff was amazing. And it looked very much like the video game. Very different from what got made. And then Mom and Dad Save the World tanked. And they scrapped the entire thing. And so I was going, because I had met Fred Caruso when I worked. My first job in the industry was working at Warner Brothers in feature production. And I had met Fred Caruso when he was producing Bonfire of the Vanities. So I knew him. And so they made me the makeup of Tony Gardner. I would go to Fred Caruso's office in Beverly Hills at Roland Joffe's office. And I was like the go-to guy. And we were working on this for months and months and months. And then one day I just walked into work and we're all fired.
That's too bad because I love that movie.
Oh, I did too. And the work that Tony Gardner's studios, it's kind of lost to time. But because he had some of the best makeup effects guys in the business, and they were making it was so cool. And then when we saw the final Super Mario Brothers that was directed by the people that made Max Headroom, looked nothing. I mean, the design, it was a complete 180 from what they wanted to do. And it taught me, I mean, it was really kind of scary for me to see, because I was like, how does somebody spend this much money and make, I mean, months and months of work? The most talented makeup effects guys in the business were making all this cool stuff. And then one day they weren't. And it was crazy.
Still, one of the funniest moments of any movie ever comes out of that movie. And John Lovitz as Emperor Todd grabs her and gives her this kiss with tongue like all over the place. And then he leans back from the kiss and, "You're welcome." It's like one of the greatest, funniest moments. John Lovitz doing that line.
I really liked that movie.
So did I. It was so bad, but it was so awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I really thought that we all thought it was going to be. It was, and you know what? That story's never really been told. I mean, it's a story that I think is worth telling, but nobody. I don't know at the time if anybody wanted to admit what happened or how, but they ended up making the movie.
John,
All
did
right,
you ever
guys.
see the Mario TV show? The Super Mario Brothers TV show?
No,
You know who was on it?
I've never heard of it. Wow. That tracks. That's about the level of talent she has.
No.
That's, I kid
But
because
that-
I love.
I do remember that TV show. Like she might have just guessed it, but wasn't it live action and then it went into the animated like cartoon?
Oh,
Or was
maybe.
it wasn't all like that. Like they would set up.
This was a real thing.
Yeah. Those two guys, it was live action. I think they set up the animated show each episode.
Yeah.
Well, that's a thing. All right.
We just have one that we're ending with some
Yeah,
support.
Mr. 47 just sent in a super chat to be supported. Thank you, Mr. 47. And guys, that'll do it for this way overly long
Way
open
over
mic.
long.
Yeah.
Thank you so
Long
much for
form.
being here and making this show a part of your day. It's good to have you here. I want to thank everybody in the room. Of course, Robert Meyer Burnett is here. With Jonathan Voico back there. We had Taylor running the operating table there. And Brooke was joining us today. Hey, Brooke, where can people follow you online?
You can find me at Brooke Solis Esquire.
All right. So, and that's your main, that's
On
your Instagram, right?
Instagram,
There you
yeah.
go. All right, guys,
Twitter.
that'll do it for us. Thanks so much for being here. Don't forget to come back and join us for tomorrow's installment of the John Campea Show. We'll see you then. My name's John Campea, and until next time, my friends, bye-bye.